Welcome in to Buccaneers Total Access. We are here with head coach Todd Bowles. And Coach, I know that not the outcome you guys were hoping for, and just now that you've had a little bit to reflect, and I'm sure you're way past even reflecting and on to the next one, but what are some of the big takeaways for you?
Penalties, number one, on offensively, the penalties, defensively, the last 2-minute ball, and the one ball that Scotty got that we blew a coverage on. The last 2-minute ball, that shouldn't have happened. That's situational football in 2 minutes. We got to at least get it to overtime on defense. Offensively, 7 penalties are unacceptable when you're trying to get 12 possessions a game, at least 12 to 13. 7 penalties on those, starting those possessions out are not good for any kind of person trying to win a ball game. So we got to be better there.
With the penalties, I know you always talk about the idea of there's some that you can live with and some that you can't. Where did this game stand on that, and what do you think is leading to some of those that especially you can't stand to live with?
Can't live with the false starts, you know. You don't want holding calls. Some of them, if the running back reroutes and changes positions, you can't help it because you're in a different position. But you don't want those either. But the ones we had in the ball game, you can't live with any of them because they were all self-inflicted. We could do a better job at that.
I know that you're always going to say that there's more plays that your defense could have or should have made, but I mean, only allowing 16 points to this point in the season, you guys are tied for the 5th fewest allowed in the NFL this year. What does that say about your defense, not just in the game Sunday, but all season long, that you guys are really clamping down on the points?
Well, they're going to fight. They're not perfect. Obviously, we need to do some things better, especially third down, but they fight and they keep us in the game and they give us a chance because they're stingy in the red zone. So we're always going to be in every ball game. And if we get some turnovers, hopefully, and we got 3 yesterday, you hope we win the ball game, but we got to execute better in 2 minutes.
Yeah, and you said you guys have the league-leading red zone efficiency. You held them to 1 out of 5. What do you think has been working so well for you guys down there?
Just not wanting them to score. Prideful guys over there. A lot of leaders over there. Winfield made a heck of a play down there. We got 3 turnovers down there. You know, you need a little bit of luck, a lot of communication, a lot of skill, and those guys are developing a habit down there. It just has to spread to the other down and distances.
Yeah, I think we said last week, and we'll continue this, that we're just going to have an Antoine Winfield segment every week to talk about the level that he is playing at. He also had that pass breakup that saved a touchdown. Just try to explain to everybody the level that he's playing at, especially as a former safety yourself. I feel like you're just the best person ever to brag about what he's doing.
What he's doing right now from a preparation standpoint, from a mental standpoint, from taking it from the practice field to the game standpoint, I don't think I've seen since I've been coaching from a secondary standpoint. He's on a whole different level. He's playing with purpose. He's playing very smart. He's playing intelligent, inspired football, and he loves to play the game. The smile does not come off of his face. He competes at the highest level, and you know, right now he's playing. He's like the best player on our team.
And we had him on our show last week, and we were talking about getting a chance to learn under you, a former safety, you guys watching film together, and he may have suggested that you've occasionally brought up your own film that you've shown him of when you played a safety, and that it was amazing how it's all these interceptions, it's all these incredible plays that you've carefully crafted a certain highlight reel to show him. Is that a fair statement?
I don't usually bring out my high school freshman film, but at the same time, no, they wanted to see a couple plays, and I don't usually show them, and I showed them a couple plays of how to go after the football, and, you know, they kind of took that as a challenge for them to go out and get some picks like that.
I like it. Yeah, he said that you were definitely a ball hawk. He gave you that credit for sure. We said we wanted to try to find some of those lowlights from the high school freshman stuff, but maybe not. Maybe we'll give that to you. How about, I know as we talked about the success that you guys had defensively in the red zone, we know offensively 0-2 in the red zone, not what you guys are striving for. What is the source to this point of the red zone struggles offensively in your mind?
Execution. We get down there and we stub ourselves in the foot. We'll get a penalty. We'll back ourselves up. We'll miss a pass play. We'll miss a block in the run game, and we always shooting ourselves in the foot. We just got to focus in and execute. You know, execution and understanding when everyone's going to be at, and understanding the guy next to you is all it takes.
And I know after last week's game, third down on both sides of the ball was definitely a point of emphasis. How did you feel about that on both sides this game?
Offensively was a little better. Defensively, not good at all. When you get a lot of 3rd and 1s, it's going to be tough to be good on third down. You know, we gave up the big one in the second half, but the 3rd and 1s are killing us. We got to make sure we get them to 3rd and 7 to 10 plus, and we got to execute that way.
Saw Mike got off to a faster start this week. How intentional was that versus just what the other team was giving you guys?
It was intentional. We always try to get Mike involved early. You got the deep ball, and they're trying to start doubling them a little bit, not leaving them alone as much. And we just got to execute and get other guys involved.
How nice was it to see that 40-yard touchdown? It was the longest scoring play of the season, and just after a couple missed deep balls the week before. Was that a sign to you, again, of where you guys know that Baker and Mike's chemistry is and just the deep ball accuracy as well?
It is. We worked on it all week. This week we're a lot sharper than we were the week before, and they connected on it. You know, we like to connect on a few more of those.
And I know Mike now has moved to 18th all-time in the NFL in touchdowns. That's a pretty rarefied place to be at this point in top 20. Why is he specifically so good at getting in the end zone?
Consistency. Mike has a big catch radius. He's a competitor at the highest level. When he goes out there, he thinks the ball is his every time he gets in the air, whether they're covering him or whether he runs by him. He feels like he can make a play, and most of the time he does.
I know you said it was intentional to get Mike off to a bit of a faster start. The offense in general, this was the first touchdown in the first quarter all season. What was it that's kind of set you guys up to be able to do that in this game, and then just the attempts maybe to try to ensure that there's a bit of a faster start moving forward as well?
Didn't have the penalties starting out. We were more aggressive. We were more aggressive offensively getting down the field, and we didn't have the penalties to slow us down. When we execute and do what we're supposed to do, we can move the ball down the field.
3 sacks on Baker. I know going into this weekend's game, the offensive line was tied for the fewest sacks allowed in the league, and the part of that's going to be Baker eluding some and getting some things with his feet. Part of that is the offensive line and how they're playing. What did you see in this game as to what led to those 3 sacks and how it was a little bit different than some other games?
We had time. You know, it was nobody open downfield. He stood in the pocket a while, and you can only protect him for so long before they did a good job of keeping him bottled up in the pocket, but he had time to throw the ball. They had the coverage good downfield, and they made a play.
How did you feel about Baker's performance overall? He finished 27 of 42 for 275 yards, a touchdown, and, of course, an interception. Just how do you kind of rate his game overall?
I mean, I thought it was okay. It's tough when you can't run the football and you have to throw the ball 40-plus times a game. That's not how you want to win ball games. That's not how we're built. So it's a lot that has to go with that to make him play better, and it's not all on him. We got to do that better as a group.
And particularly, again, in third down earlier in the season, he was really just incredibly efficient, effective in those downs. These last couple games, maybe not quite as much. What have you seen? Is it just kind of some of those situations, or is it something changed about how he's handling some of them?
Nothing changed. People are trying to take certain things away that we do. We just have to do a better job going back to the drawing board and creating different things and different ways to get open.
And what did you see on the interception that was thrown Cade's way? What went wrong on that play?
Well, there was a check down there I thought he could have took a little earlier, but he threw it out the extended arms of the linebacker. The safety made a heck of a play.
Is it hard sometimes to balance? You talk about wanting to be more aggressive as an offense, but also knowing the importance of protecting the football. What are some of the ways that you guys try to balance those two sentiments?
Well, aggressive doesn't mean going down the field all the time. It means taking what they give you, but taking your shot when they give it to you. Always trying to threaten them down the field, but then taking what they give you and moving the ball down the field meticulously. So we just got to do a better job at that overall.
We knew the Falcons had only allowed 1 rushing touchdown all year. They were 8th in rush defense success rate going into the game, knowing that they had been pretty good at defending that all year. How did you feel like our run game sort of measured up against that?
I thought we missed a block here and there. I thought we missed some holes at times too, but we got to be able to run the ball better than that, and our quarterback cannot be our leading rusher.
When you look at what all goes into the run game in terms of, you know, the types of runs that are being called, the offensive line, the running backs, I know that coaches love to always say the phrase, if it was one thing, we'd fix it, right? Or if we knew this one thing, we'd make a change. What do you see as kind of the combination of factors that are all going into it, and what are potentially some adjustments or ways that you can try to get a little bit more going in that run area?
Well, the first thing we're trying to do is win the ball game. Running the game is secondary to winning the ball game. We have to do whatever we need to do to win the football game, and then we'll work on the run game in the process of that. When you're not winning the football game, it gets singled out a little more, but we're not going to run the ball up against a brick wall, and we could definitely have to do a better job in all areas, but we're trying to win the football game first, so we have to make sure we don't lose sight of that. That's the number one goal, and then we matriculate and get the run game going within that.
What are the things that you see from Rachaad versus Keyshawn Vaughn, and then what you would need to see from Sean Tucker to see him a little bit more on the field in terms of what each of those guys is bringing, and then what you need to see more of from each of them?
Just understanding what type of defense you're playing against, when to hit the hole and when to delay and when to hesitate and go back. And obviously certain times it's not there and you just have to put your head down and go forward. So just continual progress of them getting better, that'll help all of them play more.
It was Rachaad's new career high in receiving yards. What do you like about him in that area of the game that showed up Sunday?
Well, that was kind of our run game, sort of the check downs. You know, when we go play action pass and they take off with Mike and Chris deep, you kind of check it down to Rachaad. He can get 9 or 10 yards rushing. So that kind of helped in the run game as well. So we play against many teams defensively that they check it down, and that's part of their run game. So we need to add that to what we're doing right now, and that'll loosen the run game up too.
I know Devin Tompkins had, a nice 32-yard kickoff return, 3 catches, but he also had the fumble, just 1 catch for Trey Palmer. What did you see from those guys in terms of their ability at this point in the season to be that strong, solid third option after a Mike and a Chris?
We're still trying to find a number 3 between him, Devin, Rock, and Palmer. All 3 of them can do certain things. Devin's got to learn to get down. When the run's not there, that's not a punt return or a kick return. Sometimes you just have to take your loss and line up and go again. He's a young player. He'll be better at that. Palmer and Rock, obviously Palmer had the holding call, but it was a good block. He probably just held on him a little bit too long. Those guys have come into their own. They're confident. When they got Chris and Mike covered up, they got to be able to make plays, and I think they will.
And I know that the Falcons rushed for 156 yards, essentially without Bijan, but it was their lowest yards per carry with that many attempts since 2012. So they just ran it so many times, not necessarily always getting a lot of yards. So looking at that, how did you feel about the run defense and what you guys did?
I thought the quarterback hurt us with a scramble. I thought he hurt us, I think, in the second half with a scramble that he got, and he hurt us on one run play down in the red zone. He might have had 38 of those yards, but for the amount of carries they got, I thought we did a good job on Algiers. I think he was 21 carries for 58 yards, but he still want to hold the team under 100 yards no matter how many times they rush the ball.
Take us through the strip sack that Shaq produced and how that play worked for him.
Shaq had some really good rushes going into the game. I thought him and Cansey got through at the same time. Cansey went a little lower, Shaq went a little higher. It was a big play for us because it kept points off the board before the half.
Yeah, and Cansey now is only the second rookie in a long time for the Bucs to get quarterback hits in his first 3 career games playing. So how exciting is that for you guys to see that he's showing up in some pretty big impact plays right out the gate?
We know he's a pressure player. That's what we got him for. He's making big impact plays that way. Obviously, when he gets the rust off of him in about another week or so, we look for a really good player.
And for Shaq, that was his 13th strip sack since joining the Bucs, which leads the NFL in that span. And so besides his sack, we saw Joe Tryon-Shoyinka had tackle for loss. Yaya got some pressure, recovered a fumble. How did you say the outside linebacker group as a whole played?
They played decent. They played hard. Obviously, some things in the run game we got to clean up, but they played hard. We thought they played hard. They got more 3rd and 1s than we wanted to, so we couldn't really pin our ears back. But overall, as a group, I think they're playing good football.
And I know for you guys, game prep is very different, obviously, on a Thursday week, and you never want to skip games. And so I know you probably didn't look a whole lot ahead before this game, but some of your staff might have started. So what is sort of the schedule for everyone on your staff and yourself when it comes to prepping for that next game when it's a Thursday, and especially a Thursday road game?
It's different. You start later in the week, maybe Friday and Saturday. A lot of coaches came back after the game Sunday and started right on it right then and there. I think I went home and went to bed at 5:30 and woke up at 9:30.
Jeez.
I was here by 10 p.m. and I stayed the night. So, it's a grind for the coaching staff to get everything ready, but it's part of it, and we know it's coming. So you try to prep for it ahead of time. It just comes with the territory.
Wow. Pulling an all-nighter like you're back in college, right?
Way past those days.
And how about what do you guys try to accomplish on the road when, again, it's not just a short week, but a road game when you guys are going to be getting in there Wednesday afternoon. And so there's still a lot of things you guys typically would do Wednesday and into Thursday before the game to try to get ready. What does that look like for how you guys try to use that time?
It's abbreviated. We get to moving around on Wednesday. It's probably a longer meeting Thursday morning, the morning of the game, to get the nuances out and trust the guys can do the things that we want them to do and make sure they're healthy and be able to execute them.
I know you've talked about the idea of not letting one loss turn into 2, where you don't let one game bleed into the next one. What are some of the different things leadership-wise, both from a coaching standpoint and then some of your vets and leaders on the team? What are some things that are being said or done to try to set a tone? And maybe are there any guys that have stepped up or said something in the locker room or post-game to try to set an example for some of the guys on how to not do that?
Well, Winfield spoke after the game. I thought he was on point with everything he says about accountability and looking in the mirror and making sure everybody's accountable for themselves and each other, not just the coaching staff, but the players versus players. And the vets have done a very good job making sure the rookies prepare that we got to wash this game, not forget about it and not forget about the mistakes, but we got to wash this game mentally. And from a toughness standpoint, we can't let it carry into Thursday's game, and we got to have more focus than we had in this last game as far as making mistakes.
And I know the Bills have been an interesting team to watch and figure out this year. That the loss to the Jets early on, and then just played with their hair on fire the next few weeks, and then now a loss to the Patriots, which I think a lot of people didn't predict. Do you see anything different about a Bills team this year, and especially in some of the games where they've struggled or struggled offensively to get going, when they do have a lot of the similar personnel?
They have a lot of talent. I mean, when you play division games, they're always going to be tough regardless of record. So you know it's going to be tough going in, just like the one we just played. But we know they're a tough football team. They go to playoffs every year. We expect a tough game. They'll be at home. So it's a short week, and we got to travel, and they don't. And we know they'll be ready for us, but we'll be ready for them too.
And how about preparing for Josh Allen and how unique he is compared to a lot of other quarterbacks?
He's bigger, stronger, and faster than a lot more quarterbacks. He can throw it down the field. He can really hurt you with his legs. He throws it on a rope. He's got a very strong arm. It's a zip line arm for what you see, and they have a very good run game and personnel to go with it. So it's going to be a challenge for us.
Who are the guys on your defense that when you look at someone like Josh Allen, you think to yourself, I'm glad I have this guy because of what he's able to do against someone like that?
Vita, Winfield, Levante, Devin, Shaq, Joe. I mean, we have a couple guys that you'd like to have going into the ball game.
And how about looking at Stephon Diggs and guys like Gabe Davis? What are some of the unique challenges of facing them?
I think Diggs has gotten even better than he was. He was already a great receiver, but the way they get him the ball now, his yak yards, run after catch, the patterns he's running, the way they're moving him around is incredible. And Gabe is really coming to his own after being a young player. His size, his route running, his hands have been very good. So they got two outstanding receivers and some tight ends and running backs to go with them.
And then on the defensive side of things, I know they've had several pretty big injuries on the defensive side this year, and losing guys like Tre'Davious White, and they've had a few other guys kind of banged up. And again, on a short week, we don't always get the full idea of the injury report and all of that. But who are some of the guys that really stand out to you on the defensive side that we're going to have to keep an eye on?
Obviously, Ed Oliver. Oliver's a good player. He's a very good player down front. We're going to have to deal with him. All the guys that's out on the edge as pass rushers, whether it's Von Miller or Espinoza, all those guys cause a big problem for us. They got very good ball hawking safeties, and they got corners that understand how to play. So it's going to be tough. Sean always does a great job getting the defense ready.
All right. Well, Coach, as always, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and good luck Thursday.
Thank you.